Well, thank you indeed for staying with us here on KTN Business today. My name is Peter Wakaba. On this second part of the show, we want to get right into the discussion. And as I indicated earlier, we have with us in studio Dr. Kariuki Michael. He's the Secretary General at the Harm Reduction Society. He's a consultant pediatrician, an epidemiologist and researcher, and also Dr. Nick Motisia, who is the Vice Secretary General Harm Reduction Society, also a consultant pediatrician and researcher. Welcome, gentlemen. And of course, Ken is still here, ready to give us an incisive look at some of the things that we will be talking about. I want to bring the doctors in here. But before that, Ken, the tobacco industry is a big business. Please paint a picture globally.
Absolutely, Peter. Tobacco, particularly in Africa,
yes,
is a major cash crop for many Southern African countries. Think of countries like Zimbabwe,
yes,
Malawi. Those are some of the big producers. But obviously, countries like Kenya,
yes,
particularly on the consumption side, provide a big market to the products. And we've seen major companies coming up. So it is a source of livelihood.
yes,
And obviously, the topic of regulation becomes quite sensitive from that perspective.
And the fact of the matter then, Dr. I'll start with you. At the far corner, Dr. Kariuki, tobacco has been with us for a long time, and we've had time and time again that there are harmful effects. And then the conversation begins to be that people then need to quit smoking. And we've started to hear about what are being termed safe alternatives. So talk to us about that. Talk to us about where this whole debate began and what essentially it means.
Yeah, thank you very much, Okaba. I'll just briefly describe what Harm Reduction Society is all about.
Yes.
This is a society which is registered under the Societies Act,
yes,
made up of a number of doctors. I'm the Secretary General. And the main aim of this society is to mitigate harm in society or to reduce harm,
yes,
especially in the field of tobacco. And our 5 key components that we deal with are advocacy, creating awareness, capacity building, research, and we do have tobacco harm reduction forum where we talk about reducing harm of tobacco.
yes,
We did realize that in our clinical practice for quite a number of years, smokers had been neglected. They had been left to their own devices.
yes,
The old cold turkey way was being applied for smokers to go and quit smoking. Little did we realize that smoking is an addiction, and the main thing that smokers are addicted to is actually nicotine. There is a famous saying that says smokers smoke for the nicotine but die from the tar and other harmful substances, as was said by one of the pioneers of tobacco harm reduction, called Michael Russell.
yes,
And essentially what we are trying to say is how best can we assist smokers to quit smoking? And the modalities of assisting smokers to quit smoking should be evidence-based, should be scientific methods. Traditionally, we have had a number of modalities approved by WHO, such as nicotine replacement therapies. We have nicotine patches, nicotine gums, but our utilization rate has been extremely minimal. Just to cite an example, one of the main reasons why it's minimal, because most healthcare workers don't know how to prescribe nicotine replacement therapies. They have no idea that these therapies exist. Even our own smokers don't know that they can be assisted to quit smoking by these nicotine replacement therapies, which are actually therapies approved by Pharmacy and Poisons Board. The second thing we realized was the cost. The cost of these products was prohibitive. Most people cannot afford a weekly costs of treatment of these therapies will set you back 5,000 to 6,000 shillings a week. And you need a minimum of 12 weeks. And through that, we said, no, we must do something to assist our smokers to quit, simply because smoking is one of the leading causes of preventable deaths. 8 million people globally are dying out of smoking-related illnesses. Back here in Kenya, about 8,000 people die annually. Globally, we have 1.3 billion smokers. That's a huge number, which cannot be ignored. And we need to see how best, come here locally, we have about 3 million smokers. How best can we assist these smokers to quit? And that is the main purpose of this society. And as more research is being done, the other treatment modalities that are also not cheap. For example, we have some drugs, pharmacotherapies that are used to assist smokers to quit. A very good example is what we call varenicline, which is a compound that mimics nicotine. That drug is not cheap. It will set you back about 10 to 15,000 a week, which is unaffordable. And we have other drugs out there in the market, such as bupropion, which assist smokers to quit. And these are therapies that must be prescribed by professionals and followed up for purposes to assist them to quit. Psychotherapy is also key in that. And as more and more research is evolving, we realize that we have other safer alternatives out there through research, which has shown that they do assist smokers to quit. And some of these emerging new products, which have been tested and tried in some of the developed nations to assist their smokers to quit, are products such as nicotine pouches, which must be regulated nicotine pouches. Electronic cigarettes, which must be regulated electronic cigarettes. A very good example is the UK, whereby we have about 6 million smokers, and the government in the UK last year began a campaign that was based on scientific evidence, where they are targeting 1 million of their smokers out of the 6 million in the first phase. And that campaign is called Swap to Stop. What are they essentially doing? They are giving their smokers regulated, safer alternatives to assist them to quit smoking.
I want to bring in Dr. Mutisia. And the fact of the matter, as Dr. Kariki has pointed out, is that this road has been walked by many different countries. And I'll give you the example of Sweden, which is often touted as having been able to achieve the below 5% target of reduction of smoking. What does it take?
Okay. So thank you so much for having me. For us to understand the concept of harm reduction, we need to look barely at the science. We need to understand the science in tobacco, that nicotine is the addictive element or molecule that is found in tobacco. That is what hooks you up, that you cannot live or you can't run away from using the tobacco. When you are addicted with nicotine, you get what we call physical dependence and psychological dependence. That physical dependence makes you, at the time you try to pull out or stop using the product, you get withdrawal symptoms. And you have to crave for it and you look for the product. Psychological dependence remains the same. You have that habit of burning the cigarette. So when we have these two things apart, we are looking at the solution. That's what the Sweden have done. They realized that for them to reduce using a cigarette, they can use what we call the less harmful products that have pure nicotine. And they don't have the tobacco. We must separate the two. Because the nicotine is what is hooking you up. We must deal with the nicotine to save you from this problem. And that is the science. Even in the nicotine replacement therapies, we get these therapies that have nicotine, we taper down the dose, and you are able to have no withdrawal symptoms, and we handle the psychological dependence with behavioral therapies, and you are able to be relieved from this. So from what we are seeing from the Western world is that they realize that there's evidence that a cigarette, when you are burning a cigarette, it is more harmful, and you are hooked by the nicotine, and you can be saved from the nicotine addiction by tapering down the nicotine dose. So they provide these consumers, the consumers of tobacco, they provide them with nicotine products that don't have tobacco, that are safer.
Yes.
Because nicotine does not cause cancer, but burning tobacco causes cancer. Yes.
I want to go back to Dr. Mutisi, and I want to talk then about the challenges we've seen in the country where, like, the Ministry of Health has come out to at times say it's banned. We saw the withdrawal of licenses for products and that sort of thing. And there's challenges and say that maybe then there's a disconnect between the information that the ministry has and what the globe is doing, or that then they might have some information that we don't have. What do you think is the current situation?
Yeah, thank you very much. We must appreciate.
In brief, yes.
Yeah, we must appreciate that what the ministry is doing is trying to bring in regulations pertaining to some of these products that contain nicotine. We welcome that a lot.
Yes.
Simply because our Tobacco Control Act of 2007 and the tobacco regulations are outdated. We need to revise these laws and bring in these regulations of these products. At the same time, we are telling the ministry, hey, look, in as much as we are regulating these products, what are we doing to assist smokers to quit? What evidence or what practical steps are we taking to assist our smokers to quit? And we must strike a balance so that we don't leave smokers to their own devices to quit smoking. And what we are trying to say is, even what is already approved by the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, our smokers cannot get these products. I mean, the taxes are too high, the cost is over the roof. And even as we get into this novel nicotine products, what are other countries doing? I mean, we don't live in isolation. We live in a world, there is a global village, and we can borrow a leaf from those countries that have tried to do something or are succeeding in assisting their smokers to put down the combustible cigarette.
Dr. Mutisi, I want you to talk about the abuse, because that's what most people talk about, and the fact that it has been touted as evidence of the badness of these products, that they might be sold to school kids, they're readily available in places of recreation, and that rather than being therapy, it's now being treated as a recreational drug. Please speak into this and what can be done.
Yes. Thank you so much for the question. That is very true, what you have said, that the products are being used out there for recreational purposes. There is no regulation currently in our setting. And that's why, as Harm Reduction Society, we are saying that these products will work in the context of regulation. They must be out of reach from non-smokers and from the youth and the adolescent. Our children, you have seen from the latest NACADA report that the initiation age for smokers in Kenya today is from 6 years of age. That's the latest report. These children should not be able to access these products. And if we look, we should create a balance here. That these are products that have been proven to help a smoker. And they can help the smoker to quit smoking with the help of a healthcare professional. That's why we need a Stop Smoking Services department, so that this product can be given with guidance. Because the aim of the product is not to hook you up to them. It is to help you quit smoking. That means you put down your cigarette, you get a safer alternative that has therapeutic nicotine. Therapeutic nicotine, then it is tapered down and you are off the nicotine addiction. That the goal is to help you quit smoking. So in our setting, we don't have regulations. The Tobacco Control Act of 2007, it omitted harm reduction strategies that are in the WHO Framework Convention of Tobacco Control. And we are parties to that, and we signed to that. So as we are looking at the new law for the Tobacco Control Act, as we get in the new products that are in the market to be regulated, we need, and we are saying as a society, let's put in the harm reduction strategy that is WHO proven. But then we regulate such that our children cannot reach out to them. We regulate by ensuring that our people are educated to know these products are not for recreation. Don't use these products because they are not risk-free. They are not risk-free. They are just less harmful than the cigarette, and they are supposed to help you quit smoking with the help of a healthcare worker. Yes.
Indeed, thank you, gentlemen. Very incisive conversations. I want to close with Ken and ask the question then. As we move people away from tobacco and that entire value chain, diversification strategies for income, what then happens to that entire value chain? They're farmers, they're other people. So what do governments do?
Well, governments have a big role in managing this situation. Indeed, through taxes, they have a way of discouraging the consumption of some of these products, what we call the sin taxes. So Pigouvian taxes that are meant to incentivize or disincentivize. But I think as an alternative is to try and look at how, sort of, for example, some of these products can be used, for example, from a medical perspective.
Yes.
Are there opportunities? Remember, we had one of the presidential candidates who was looking at some of these products, and he was making a case that there are some medical experiments that could be possible. So I think it's, I like what my colleagues have said, evidence-based, looking at the data and looking at what are the possibilities that the data can provide.
Indeed, gentlemen, unfortunately, we are out of time, and thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. Of course, Dr. Mutisia, Dr. Michael Kariuki, and Ken Geshinga, our resident analyst. We have come to the end of our discussion, but to tell you to keep it here because this is definitely a topic that we will continue to try to create insight to, because it is a pain point for much of the country today. Well, that brings us to the end of our conversation. It has been a pleasure having you for the entire week and, of course, for today. My name is Peter Okaba. Do continue to stay with KTN News. Don't go anywhere. We will be back with more news immediately after this program. Do have yourselves a great afternoon ahead and enjoy the weekend that is to come.